Hey guys, how's it going? Dragox55 here, and today we are here with Fortune Ladies. Well, let me rephrase that. A sorcerer of dark magic Fortune Ladies. Basically, what you guys need to know is the deck involves using Fortune Ladies and using Sorcerer Dark Magic. Sounds a little bit weird, and let's actually get into the deck because I'm pretty sure a lot of you don't actually know what Fortune Ladies can do, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you have never heard of Sorcerer Dark Magic. So anyways, so first off we have one Blackluster Soldier on the beginning. Just so you guys know, I'm not going to go over this card or any other card. Well, I'm going to go over it briefly. Not like, oh, you can banish face downs and this disrupts whatever. If it's something you guys should know by now, then I'm not going to go over it as much. But if you guys do, like if I feel like, for example, but if it's something that I feel like you guys need a little more detail about, I will go over it more. If you guys tell me in the comments you want me to go over certain cards, I will do that in a separate video of good stuff. So yeah, if you need me to go over certain cards that I haven't gone over in this deck enough, then let me know. So one Blackluster, so Envoy at the beginning, whatever. I can't even speak English. Basically, he can attack twice and he can banish anything that's monster related, of course. This one basically like BLS, except it can't attack twice. And it can't banish stuff face up. Or, can't banish stuff that's face down, has to be face up monsters. To effect failure, basically you discard it and you negate a monster's effect. Of course, you can only do it during the main phase. I don't remember if main phase 2 counts, but I believe it does. Basically, as I said before, it's always a good idea to run like effect failures, Venus chains, or breakthrough skill. Yeah. I was gonna say skill drain, but then that's not really in the same category as this. Anyways, to run these because it gets rid of like certain monster effects, not every monster on the field effects. So, you know, it's always a good idea to run them. Usually I don't run them in the decks because, you know, I kind of want room for other cards and to be able to mess around and have more of a challenge. But you guys could always run some more. The only things I should tell you now is that if you are running too high on traps, like you're drawing traps a lot and you can't get monsters, I would switch to Veilers instead of Breakthrough Skill or Venus Chain. If you're like me and don't like to have like face up continuous stuff in the back row and you like to have room, then you would most likely go Breakthrough Skill or Effect Failure. If you don't mind, then you go for Venus Chains or stuff like that, since it makes your opponent not be able to attack. And if you want something a little more consistent than Effect Failure, I would say Breakthrough Skill. But, you know, Effect Failure is still really good, especially in this deck because you can also synchro with it, so it's always a good idea. So when you have Effect Failure, it's not a bad idea to always throw in like a synchro or two, because, you know, it helps out. Next up is Fortune Lady Dark. Oh, a thing I should mention about Fortune Ladies, they all have question mark attack and defense, and they all get attack and defense based around, well, what it says on the card, but for each level it's times that attack points. So for example, while it's level 5, it gives 5 times 400. In simple man's terms, it gets 400 for each star. So if you're not good with multiplication, it goes 400, 800, whatever. So this one is going to be like 2000, I think it was. Because 4 times 5 is 20. and you just add the extra 0, so, and yada yada for the others, you know. So yeah, basically that's simple enough. Hope you guys get that part, because that's basically a thing for fortune ladies. If you don't care about those, or you run into people that do effect failure stuff and whatever, then this deck might not be great for you, but you know, it's really actually a pretty good deck, believe it or not. Anyways, so her thing is when a Fortune Lady monster destroys a card on the field, or a monster by battle, basically she has to be face up for this effect to work. Or I'm assuming she has to be on the field. I don't know if she has to be face up. I'm assuming yes. I'm pretty sure she has to be face up for that effect. And basically when it destroys a monster, when a Fortune Lady destroys a monster of battle, you can special summon a Fortune Lady from your graveyard, which then you would presumably attack with the monster you bring back, depending on the situation. So in turns, you can bring Fortune Lady Fire if it's in your grave, because of course the Fortune Ladies have to be in the grave for Dark's effect to go off. Don't worry, it's not a problem with that. Anyways, so Fortune Lady Fire is a good choice, and Fortune Lady Water is a good choice. But I'll get to more details about that in a second. I know I always do this for some reason. Sorry about this. I forgot to put in my extra deck, so. Reasons we don't run the other ones before I actually get into the next things. Lady Earth is a level 6. Of course you could bring it out. It does 400 damage when it gets a level increase. So basically it doesn't increase after it's level 12, so you'd get off, let's see, 6 times 4, 2,400 damage if it stays alive that long. It's not the greatest thing in the world, so there's no point in running her. Other things you can run are Fortune Lady Wind if you don't like if you don't need the whole fire thing, which we'll get into her in a second. But basically, when this card is normal summon, so yeah, this one is for more of the basically back row. So it's basically like flip-flop frogs or something like that, where when it's normal summoned, it can destroy a spell or trap on your opponent's side of the field equal to the number of monsters you control that are Fortune Lady. So, basically, if you just summon her, it's just 1. If you summon out another, if you have 2, it's 2, and all the way up. So, yeah, not really needed, because MST is at 3 in the game. So, I mean, you could run it if you need more back row destruction. Most likely, mostly I would side deck it, because, you know, if you have a deck that involves like high back row or something, it's probably a good idea to do that. Switch her into it instead of using Lady Fire. But anyways, for anyone that's curious about what Lady Fire and the rest of them do, Fortune Lady Fire, when it's brought out by special summoned by a face-up attack position. What? Oh, never mind. When this card is special summoned and face-up attacked by a Fortune Lady effect, you can destroy one of your opponent's face-up monsters and inflict damage equal to the destroyed monster's attack. So basically, you're attacking to an opponent, or you know, there's other ways of doing it, which we'll have to get into light for you to understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, so you bring out special summon Fortune Lady Fire, and then of course remember it's only by Fortune Lady cards that the effect goes off. And basically what it does is, you know, like your opponent has a blue eyes and you can't go over it, so you would bring special summon it and destroy blue eyes, and your opponent takes 3,000 damage. Of course this attack is lacking, of course, because it's only 2-star and they get 400 attack. But I mean, the effect is so great And there's so many high monster count decks, like Atlanteans, not really spellbooks, because they run like weak stuff, and then they run the priestess usually. Light Sworn, Dragon Rulers are pretty high in monsters. Monarchs. I can't think of all the decks right now, but basically there's so many high level base decks, high monster base decks, that this deck card is a lot better than getting rid of back row. But I mean, if you, let me make sure something quick, because strike numbers, oh okay, so it is, it doesn't matter if it's face up or face down. Alright, so, oh yeah, and it has to be face up too, okay. So yeah, it basically helps out with Dark Worlds too, because it can destroy Grapha, and you're like, well, it just comes back out, that's how Grapha works. But you still deal damage to a Grapha, and you're like, oh my gosh. I mean, there's ways that this works out. I'll talk about more when I get into cards you can help with this deck. But basically, this is a lot better than Wind. You can run Wind if you want. I like Fire. Another thing is, crud, I had a thought in my head. Oh, Dragon Rulers. I don't run Dragon Rulers in here because I don't like the free advantage that they can give me. It feels a little broken, especially if I run like 3 of them. But, you know, you guys can run Dragon Rulers if it helps out. Like, you know, I mean, if you want to be, if you really want to be a pro or something about it, or actually want to try, if you really want to try Dragon Rulers, I suggest 1 of them. I mean, you can run 3 of them, but, or even 2 of them, but really, I don't want to throw them in. I mean, at that point, you're basically playing Dragon Rulers, and it kind of just ruins the whole point of it. If you're running decks, and then you're running like 3 of each Dragon Ruler in it, it kind of ruins the whole synergy it has in there. 2 is a little bit fine in Dragon Rulers, but if you're running 3, it's a little obnoxious with it. I know a lot of people run like Redox or something, or Tempest, or all that stuff. Like 1 is fine, but if you're gonna play like 3 of them, that's kind of obnoxious there. Oh, I haven't even talked about Light, so. Fortune Lady Light is our main Fortune Lady of the deck. Her, because like you'll mostly be using her to get the other ones out. So anyways, when you banish this Fortune Lady, or remove from play, or whatever, you can special summon 1 Fortune Lady monster from your deck. Now, I wouldn't recommend bringing out Water, but we'll get into that in a second. You can bring out Fortune Lady Fire, which would activate off of this, so you can blow up a monster and then attack for extra 400. Or you can bring out Fortune Lady Dark, which is actually a little better of an option, because like, let's say your opponent has a Shining Angel and a Blue Eyes for some reason. I don't know why they'd have that combination, but it's whatever. So you destroy like Shining Angel, and then they bring out like another one or something like that. Then you could bring back Fortune Lady Fire and then blow up the Blue Eyes or whatever, you know. You know how combos work. So basically you can, when you banish her, you can bring out one of these 2. You can bring out Water, but as I said, you probably are not going to go for Water until you at least have Dark or Fire on the field. So just keep that in mind. That's all I can really say. But yeah, you're mostly going to go into Light before you go into Fire, Dark, or even Water. And the reason why we don't go straight for Lady Water is because when this card is special summoned, while controlling her face up, control a face up Fortune Lady monster except for Water, you can draw 2 cards. Now that's actually a really good boost. We play 2 of them because, well, we don't want to draw into her, because the card needs to be special summoned when, you know. So it's kind of annoying if you draw into it, but it's whatever, I guess. So she gets a 1200 attack. This one's 200, 400, and 2000. So anyways, so you can bring her out with light if you want to, but make sure you have dark first, or you have fortunately fire. But your main thing that you want to kind of do is go for dark and get her out, because if you go for dark and get her out, you can spam more fortunately water than if you were to go for light. Light is mostly for either fortunately fire or dark. I personally like dark because it can get stuff from the grave. It's the highest of all the monsters that are fortunately based, and it can basically wreck field if you play it right. Granted, the deck is not the most pro deck in the game, so don't suspect it to win every game, but you know. So basically, she lets you draw 2, which gives you enough synergy. You can run stuff like Max C or something like that. I don't need to, I don't really, well, I might need to, but I don't really feel a need with it. Most people might need special summoning, I don't know. But this deck can pretty much hold its own. The reason I didn't use this deck during Duel Hour 2 is because I'm still hiding some of the decks that I haven't shown off yet. So, you know, when I get the chance to show them off, you'll see them more in Duel Hour. So, next up is Kinka Bio, or whatever. This one passes my eye a lot, but basically you can bring back a level 1 monster, and when this card leaves the field, because for anyone that's not aware, spirit monsters, they usually tend not to be able to be special summoned, but since this isn't a spirit deck, we're not going to go more into that. But basically the bottom line is when you summon it, it goes back to the hand at the end phase, unless the effect is negated or is flipped face down before it can go back to your hand. So basically what you need to do is you normal summon this and bring a level 1 monster back from the grave. Now you might look at the deck, you might like, okay, effect Vader, whatever. Then I can go for a level 2 like Formula Synchron. However, if you haven't noticed, where it says when this card is removed from the field, remove from play that monster. Now, if you remember before, I did talk about one monster, which I'm highlighting over, that involved getting an effect based off of being removed from play. So, yep. Basically, this would get to the grave, which we'll talk about how that gets to the grave eventually in this deck. But then this card gets to the grave, and basically, you bring out Kinka, Bio, you attack, whatever, or you make a level 1 XYZ, and then you banish her, and you bring out another Fortune Lady, which is why you can get like water, or fire, or dark, or whatever. So basically, this card's like really good in this deck, but playing more than one is kind of just ruining it synergy wise. I mean, I don't really need to have like 2 of these in my hand. One of them is just fine, so I can like do something. So yeah, I've actually won plenty of duels with this, I think. Say 2 Plague Spreaders, pretty much you can put like any tuner, but this card is actually really good. And when it comes down to it, if you're trying to get like Fortune Lady Light, and also we special summon the Fortune Lady from the deck. When you're trying to get Fortune Lady Light's effect off, and you're trying to get like water out, you basically want to bounce back water with Plague, and then banish this, or anything like that. And another benefit of it is that, oh boy, hiccups. Another benefit is because of the fact that they go up in levels, and since I said they go up in levels, and you kind of understand where I'm going with this, that's why this guy is in here. But anyways, so basically you're leveling up with these monsters. Don't forget that each one of your standby phases that pass by, they gain a level until they get to level 12. So like, you pretty much are stalling out with these monsters, and you're getting like level 6s and 12s and whatever, your opponent is pretty much not going to get over these easily without card effects or higher monsters or whatever. And basically with the whole combo of dark and fire or light and fire, you're pretty much keeping your opponent at bay. I mean, if you want wind, then wind is there too, but you know, if you were to switch out for wind, do not take out water. Like, unless if water is really getting in the way of the game, then I guess you switch it for wind. But usually you really want wind in the deck. Or water, not wind. I'm even looking at the card and I can't even think right. So, anyways. So enough on Plague Spider. Basically, as you could have guessed, they level up, you synchro a Plague Spider. So, like, it can go to 5 and you can make level 7. Or you can wait 2 turns and let it go to level 8 and make Crimson Blader or Scrap Dragon or something. You know. And the good thing is, even if you do synchro up with them or XYZ, you still have Fortune Lady Dark, and Fortune Lady Dark is bringing back basically water and fire, so you have like pretty much an unlimited supply of synchro and XYZ use that you can do. And the thing is, since they're leveling up so much, it's kind of hard to make an extra deck around them, because you can put so much things that help out with this deck. Like, you want to make like rank 5s, and there you go. This card will get to rank 5 really quickly. You can make rank 3s, 2s, and all that good stuff. This deck has a lot of possibilities. Like, I know Fortune Ladies isn't the best deck, but I mean, because of the ability to level up and stuff like that, they might not be some Dragon Rulers that make rank 7s all the time, or Harpies that do basically that too, except for the exception of Lightning Chidori. But they can pretty much level up, and you can get so many options from them. It's kind of ridiculous too. But, you know, that's enough on that. Do Sorcerer Dark Magic. Now this card can be token out if you want. It doesn't matter in my opinion. But for the case of this deck in particular, I put 2 of them in because, well, basically there's like, you need 2 of them. I don't like 3 because it can become a dead draw. I don't like 1 because you never draw into the card, so you need at least 2 of them. If you want to play 1, then I would suggest putting like a Gold Sark. But, oh, another thing. Fortune Lady Light, when it's removed from the field, it gets an effect. So, Gold Sarking for Fortune Lady Light does not work. Forgot to mention that, because I'm pretty sure someone was going to do that too. Anyways, so basically this monster's thing is it can't be normal summoned or set. It has to be special summoned by attributing to level 6 or higher spellcasters. Well, if you look at it, we do have spellcasters, which is good. And anyways, so his whole thing is that you could get rid of 2 Fortune Ladies at level 6 or higher, whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be Fortune Ladies, you can run like Prophecies or whatever, Spellcasters, even Dark Magicians in terms of this. But, you know. So anyways, yeah, his thing is when a trap card is activated, you can pretty much negate it. It's basically Royal Decree. Now, even though it's not really as great as Decree, because Decree you can just activate, and there you go. It's a lot easier to get Decree than Sorcerer Dark Magic. This monster has a big whopping 3,200 attack. Apparently it's nostalgia to someone else, but not really to me, because I usually never see this card. So yeah, he can negate traps and yada yada, and then he destroys them, of course. And he has to be face up. But 3,200 is not something to mess around about. I mean, if you're running spellbooks, it helps out with his thing, yeah. I can do that, but, you know. It's pretty much like, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to go on about. But, spellbooks, it's okay with it, but it doesn't really help it out. Your best bet here is like Fortune Ladies. It's really easy to bring out with all the synergy going on with these cards. It's pretty easy to get them out. And he pretty much runs over anything. He runs over... Wow, that was a loud lightning storm. Or thunder, my bad. So anyways, he basically can get over BLS. He can get over Judge and Dragon. He can get over Dracosax, Big Eyes. I meant to be over Sorcerer Dark Magic. He pretty much gets over all those monsters, and you're like, how many monsters can do that just purely off their attack? And your opponent's like, well, I'm just gonna Phoenix Chain you, nope, negate. I'm gonna Mirror Force you, negate. I Bottomless Trap Bullet, negate, I think. Or maybe it does, maybe, no, Bottomless, I think Bottomless still gets negated by this. I could be wrong. The only thing you need to keep in mind, anything that's level Speed Spell 3, and Speed Spell 3 is counter traps. It cannot negate those because it's too fast for this. For anyone that's not sure what I'm talking about, I wish it showed Speed Spell there. Oh, yes, under the picture right there. That's a Speed Spell 2. I don't want to go much into it, but Speed Spell 1 is just like normal spells and whatever. Speed Spell 2 is stuff that counteracts those, like quick play spell cards or traps, basically, and this card, of course. Speed Spell 3 are counter traps. Nothing can stop Speed Spell 3 because it's too quick. So, yeah, Speed Spell 2 can stop anything Speed Spell 2 and lower. Anything that Speed Spell 3 cannot stop. So, counter traps, do not try to stop with this card because you will fail very heavily. Well, you're not going to try because you'll fail, but if you know your opponent has like Solemn Warning, be cautious about summoning him, because he will probably get Solemn Warning and you can't do anything about it. Also, Compulse doesn't work on him either. Next up we have 2 Trigodias. Basically his whole thing is you can gain attack, whatever, for each card in your hand. Basically because he can change his level is a nice thing to do. And it kind of just fits in with the whole Chaos build and, well, Water and Fire, not Chaos, but whatever. But, you know, you can discard Sorcerer to get level 9s. You can, whatever. Basically, we run Trag just for more backup. Things to keep in mind, we don't run Gores because this deck runs a lot of continuous stuff. Wow, this video is almost 30 minutes. Sorry about if videos take 30 minutes, like, each time. It's just, there's a lot of description to go into about it, and yada yada. And then I just ramble on about random stuff that doesn't matter. But I just need to make sure that you guys understand certain stuff that I personally have failed and not understood about the deck, which in turn made me lose duels because I didn't comprehend that they do that. So, yeah. So I'm trying to help you guys out as much as I can. So if videos are 30 minutes, then so be it. But, you know, it's better than me just going banishes, banish, negate effect, yada yada. So, anyways, Lord Darkness, not too much to say. Gone over it. You draw 2, banish 1 dark. If you don't have enough dark, then you discard your whole hand. Or send, not discard. Dark Hole. I hope I don't need to explain that card. Dimension Gate. This one is a pretty interesting thing. It actually works in terms of Fortune Ladies. Of course, you're going to banish light, as usual. But basically, you banish 1 card, monster, and your opponent banishes 1 monster. If this card leaves the field, both of the monsters are returned back to the field in the positions they were. So basically, this gets rid of Dracosac, or any XYZ that gets in your way, and also gives you a +1, because you can either, if your opponent has another monster, go Lady Fire, or you can go into a Lady Dark, if your opponent isn't... if your opponent doesn't have too much of an offensive against you. This card can get really annoying for your opponent. Anything that involves vanishing is usually annoying for your opponent, so it helps out a lot. Like, you guys don't know. Make sure you banish light. If you need to banish something else, then go right ahead, but light is your main target with this card. Next up, we have 2 Fortune Futures. You can run 3, but you know, 3 is kind of pushing it. You don't want to draw it into this card if you have no need for it. Pretty much with every card. So yeah, we had 2 of them, and this is where it gets a little more interesting because we have Fortune Lady in the remove from play zone, which you're like, okay, well if I remove all 3, then I have no more synergy, right? Wrong. Basically, what this does now is you can select one of your remove from play Fortune Ladies and then return it to the grave to draw 2 cards. So basically, not only are you getting 4 cards of this, along with probably another 4 cards using Fortune Lady Dark, and along with more cards with Fortune Lady Light, but you're getting more cards by putting Fortune Lady Light back in the grave to do this card. If you haven't lost track yet, I'm glad for you. So basically, yeah, this deck makes more sense when you play it. So yeah, you would banish this from the field, bring out Dark, and then you also probably get like water or fire from the grave or something. Or even you can use Fortune's Future, put light in the graveyard, bring this back, or put light in the graveyard, use this card to bring back light, and then you just basically wreck field with both of them. Even though this was only 200 points when it comes to the field, but you know. Future Visions, really the best card that makes the whole deck. Basically, when a card is normal summoned, remove that monster from play. During the next standby phase of the controller who summoned, basically if it's your turn and you summon a monster, it comes back during your next standby. So, in attack, of course. So this will stop your opponent from like going straight for the XYZs and stuff, which is really good. And synchros and shuts down their plays a lot, which makes this deck kind of anti-meta, but not super anti-meta. Do not run Mistake in here, because you will probably... Oh no, maybe Mistake would work. I was gonna say, well then you can't search, but then again, Mistake is deck to hand, not hand to deck from field. Something like that. So maybe if you want to run Mistake, if you're running into like Evil Swarm or something, but you know, it's whatever. So yeah, basically I've already gone over this like 5 billion times. Not really though, but basically you're gonna summon light, bring out dark, attack, and bring out something from your grave. And if you have this, you probably would use this to put that back in the grave, which is also good because you can get like, of course, BLS or Chaos Sorcerer if you need to. So basically, yeah. Other things I need to explain with it? Not really. Keep in mind another thing. If you bring out Kinka Bio and you bring back, unfortunately, from the graveyard, since it leaves the field, it gets rid of light or effect failure. And this card doesn't go back to the hand when it's banished and then back on the field. Also, when the card returns to the field, it still counts as a normal summon, not a special summon. So you can bring, this card comes back. It just doesn't go back to the hand. Reasoning for that is because spirit cards don't go back to the hand if they last a whole turn without being returned to the hand when they're summoned. So if I summon this and I skill drain it, and then the next turn I get rid of skill drain, it doesn't go back to the hand. So keep that in mind. Someone's gonna probably do that, which I don't blame you. I did the same exact thing, but it was only a test. So 2 mystical space, not too much to explain about it. 1 day of peace, more draw power, prevent damage, kinda needed, not really, who cares. Do not run pod duality, you do special summon too much for duality. Terraforming, I suggest 1 or 2. I like 1 because it searches out them. And, well, yeah. Bottomless because it's bottomless. Call the Haunted, you can special summon stuff. And basically, when you special summon water from anywhere, you just need to control a Fortune Lady so you can get more cards. And you bring out Fortune Lady Dark, You bring this one back. This one doesn't get an effect if you bring out with Call Haunted, so keep that in mind. You could bring back this card, I believe, if he was special summoned by his effect first. Of must be special summoned. No, he can't be brought back. My bad. Because there are cards where it says must be first special summoned, which is why I got that confused. No, you can't bring him back, but you can bring back BLS and Chaos Sorcerer if you need to. And also you could bring Water, Dark, or Light. Do not bring out Fortune Lady Fire with Call the Haunted. 1 Compulse, because bounce stuff back. 2 Dimensional Prison, because, well, it does a lot better than Mirror Force in times. You run Mirror Force if you need it. And Transfer Tribute, because you blow up the field, why not? I probably would change this for a monster, Mirror Force, but I don't know, it's up to you. As for extra deck, it's pretty much whatever you decide. But basically there's Catastor for 5s, Armides for level 5s, Black Rose blows up fields, Blood Memphis, this card actually knows the credit on me, so why not? I'm not gonna go too much about it because it's not that important of a card you don't bring out every time. But basically, inflict 300 for each card your opponent controls, so you can do that during your opponent's standby phases. Each time your opponent sets a card, you inflict 300, and that's this whole thing. Which you might not think is great, but it actually stacks up and gets really annoying. Level 3, it was kind of recommended by something for negating an effect and making a card 0. But, I don't know, if it's up to you if you want to change this for like Formula Synchron. I actually kind of like this effect. 1 Scrap Dragon. Void Ogre was always a good thing. Digesto Emerald to reshuffle stuff, whatever, it doesn't matter too much. Cowboy, we know why Cowboy's in there. Draco Sack and Big Eye for level 7, or rank 7, my bad. This card was actually used by a friend of mine. I actually thought it looked pretty good, and it works pretty good too, so if you want to bring out whatever. Basically you bring out 2 darks and it makes that, so. Black Ship of Corn, because I love that card. Focusaurus, probably my favorite of the low rank 5s. And Slacker, because Kinka, Bio, and whatever can make this and stall out as long as you need. Wind is always a good choice. Return from a different dimension is actually pretty good too, if you get into a habit of stuff being banished. Different dimension reincarnation is pretty good. So yeah, I guess I don't know really much to say about the deck other than that. I'm pretty sure there's like some other card that I was thinking of that I didn't say, but you know, this video is like 38 minutes long, so I have to end it here, guys. The deck is definitely an 8 out of 10. It's pretty fun, does what it needs to, and as the person requested, Sorcerer Dark Magic can be brought out, so that solves that. Keep in mind, skill drain and stuff like that will hurt this deck, so keep in mind about that. And I will catch you guys next time. This is Dragox55 signing out, and I hope this video wasn't too long. This was too much explaining for me, but you know, it's all for you guys, so catch you later.